as you can see. Fukushima, rawforbeauty.com. Plant a lot of hemp in the land of Fukushima. Hemp's vibration has the potentiality to purify the contaminated environment made by radiation. Also at the Russian place. How ISIS never mentions or dare to attack Israel. That's how you know the controllers are. Non-lethal microwave weapons. Frequency 4.5 Hz. Illness cause paranoia 6.5 Hz. Depression, suicide 8 Hz. Animals fall asleep 11 Hz. Manic behaviour, anger 25 Hz. Blindness if aimed at the head. Heart attack if aimed at the chest. Other frequencies cause hysteria, trauma, lust, murder and cancer, and may all be induced. Remote DW 6.6 as it said there. And basically it says, so this is what the microwave weapons, the cell towers, are for, to control us. Betrayal of Britain, wanted for treason, Theresa May. Death of Brexit, pay 39 billion. Remain in the single market and customs union. Obey all current and new EU law. Comply with ECJ judicial oversight. Continued common fisheries policy. Comply with budget commitments. Continued free movement. Brexit? There's no such thing. Monsters. British government rules Christianity is not a religion of peace. Refuses to convert asylum. The UK treasonous government has claimed Christianity is unbelievably offensive. Letter quoting passage from Bible, while stepping and fetching for the most brutal and extreme ideology of the face of the earth, banning those of us who stand against jihad terror and Sharia oppression, abandoning 1 million non-Muslims British tweens to Muslim child sex trafficking gangs. Now this, they have turned a corner and gone over the dot to the dark side. Mental health unit branded worse than Broadmoor will be closed. Mental health unit is set to close just 2 months after a Mail on Sunday expose. Meadow Lodge in Devon was described as worse than Broadmoor by a nurse. Staff revealed in January how youngsters were frequently restrained by teams of adults and for more than an hour. A mental health unit for adolescents that was branded worse than Broadmoor by a nurse who worked at both is to close just 2 months after a Mail on Sunday expose. In January, staff at Meadow Lodge in Devon revealed how youngsters, including teenage girls, were frequently restrained by teams of adults for more than an hour. It was alleged that some patients were sat on the while sedatives were forcibly injected into their buttocks. Another one of the government's perfect utopian care homes. Disabled man whose own walking stick forced into his mouth to stop him screaming while he was robbed. The man was left with a fractured eye socket, a broken jaw and bleeding of the brain. A gang of cowardly thugs attacked and robbed a disabled man by forcing his walking stick into his mouth to stop him shouting for help. The man, believed to be in his 50s, was punched and kicked in the head and robbed of jewellery during the vicious attack in Chadderton, Oldham. The terrifying ordeal left him with a fractured eye socket, a broken jaw, a bleed on the brain and several broken fingers. Police have launched an appeal to catch those responsible for attackers, which happened around 7:45 on Friday, March 15th. The victim left the dog in on Lansdowne Road before crossed the road to walk along the pedestrian path leading to Wiltshire Close. He was then approached by two or three men who attacked him before stealing bracelets as he lay on the ground. During the robbery, the man was punched in the face. These bastards, they need sorting out. Private firms earn 500 million from disability benefit assessments. Capita and Atos each earn huge sums despite intensive criticism from MPs and the public. Two private firms have earned more than 500 million in taxpayer money for carrying out controversial disability benefit assessments and, of course, getting bonuses for kicking them or sanctioning them. The Department of Work and Pensions, 500 million! The Department for Work and Pensions paid Atos and Capita 507 million for personal independent payment tests between 2013 and 2016, despite fierce criticism of their services by MPs. Figures up until September this year, reported by the Daily Mail, suggested that 61% of the 90,000 claimants who appealed against a PIP decision by the DWP based on the company's assessments won their case at tribunal. The DWP said it was unsure where the figures came from. Hundreds have complained, many via The Guardian, that their benefits have been cut since PIP replaced the Disability Living Allowance, DLA, in April. More attacking of the most poor in our society, and it's an utter disgrace that we've allowed it to get to this stage. I don't think anyone seems to understand UK law basics. There is a law, European Union Withdrawal Act 2018, which states that the UK must leave the EU with or without a deal at 11 p.m. on the 29th of March 2019. Thanks to Gina Miller, who took our Parliament to court in 2016-17 and had the leave process enshrined in UK law. It takes 2 to 6 weeks in the UK to amend, change, create, repeal UK laws, acts, which aren't, of course, laws, by the way. They have to be proposed, voted on several times in the House of Commons, ratified by the House of Lords, and finally, when all are agreed, the Queen has to sign the law and give her royal assent. This process is deliberately slow so that snap decisions cannot be made and that everything is considered before making changes to legislation. So everything you see on the TV and the news currently is irrelevant. We will be leaving at 11 p.m. on the 29th of March. No one can just change their minds. They have to do it legally, and there is no time. Family court secrecy lets judges get away with mistakes, senior judge says. Secrecy in family courts, as well as helping them to steal children, could be allowing judges to get away with mistakes, the most senior family judge in England and Wales has said. Speaking at an event on Tuesday the evening, Sir James Mumby, President of the High Court's Family Division, said the judges were grotesquely overworked and tired and so more likely to make errors. He said more openness would allow journalists and the public to scrutinise their decisions. But of course that's never going to happen because they'll have to stop stealing children by made up bullshit by the SS. Former Irish PM took €210,000 in secret payments while in office and lied about it, inquiry finds. Two other former Fianna Fáil lawmakers are found guilty of corruption. Reports finding passed by current PM onto prosecutors and police. Former Irish Prime Minister Bertie Ahern took at least €209,779, £174,764 in secret payments while in office and repeatedly lied about them under oath, an inquiry has found. In a long-awaited end to an investigation into payments to politicians in the Republic, 3 judges have also found 2 other former Fianna Fáil lawmakers guilty of corrupt acts. They stopped short of finding Ahern guilty of corruption because they found no evidence the veteran politician gave favours to any of his cash donors, which is a load of bollocks, and we all know that. While the report itself was a fact-gathering effort for not a direct finding of any criminal wrongdoing, Prime Minister Enda Kenny referred its contents to prosecutors. Potential offences include corruption, obstruction of justice and tax evasion. No Irish politicians have been convicted of corruption as a result of the past 15 years of investigation into bribery. You see, they can get bribed all they want and nothing happens even when they get caught out. Now for some more disgusting paedophilia. You should be boycotting Amazon. They've got this. Daddy's little slut, cute newborn baby girl, onesies, baby suit, black. And it's utterly disgusting, and it's paedophilia. It is pure and simple paedophilia. We were lied to. Secret documents, FCO 1048 kept truth about EU from British for 30 years. A secret document which remained locked away for 30 years advised the British government to cover up the realities, the EU membership, so that by the time the public realised what was happening, it would be too late. Almost all of the shocking predictions from the loss of British sovereignty to monetary union and the overarching powers of European courts have come true. But damningly, former Tory Prime Minister Edward Heath, paedophile, and all those who kept quiet about the findings in the early 70s, the document known as FC030/1048 was locked away under Official Secret Act rules for almost 5 decades. The classified paper, dated April 1971, suggested the government should keep the British public in the dark about what EEC membership means, predicting that it would take 30 years for them to take full control, and they've not managed it, so this is our get out of jail free card, and then we need to lock up all bastard politicians that have ever known about it, which is all of them, all of those that's ever served for the British bullshit, you know. Dan Hodges, the greatest fraud ever perpetrated on the British people. Brexit is dead. The ministers told me some rebels might start to come around, but it's too late. On Monday, the House of Commons will take control of the process, and then it's over. A Downing Street aide agreed. We've managed to hold them off for as long as we can, but we are only stopped the Commons by 2 votes last time, and that was because Paul Flynn's seat was vacant and Fiona Osanya, the Labour MP, jailed for lying about a speeding offence, was with her parole officer. It's done now. Brexit was supposed to be a movement of national catharsis. Instead, it is about to go down as the greatest fraud ever perpetrated upon the British people. We all know it's fraud. We all know it's covered by the government. We all know. Special Branch knew who the real Birmingham bombers were from 1975. A convicted bomber has told an inquest the names of those he claimed were responsible for the 1974 Birmingham pub bombings. 21 people died and more than 200 were injured in the atrocity. Yet there are historical claims that Special Branch knew of the identities of the real bombers going back to 1975, the year that the Birmingham 6 were convicted. But to fully understand what happened to the Birmingham 6, we need to examine certain events prior to and after their prosecution. This includes the Guildford 4, who were wrongfully convicted in 75 of carrying out 2 pub bombings attack in Surrey, because it is likely that the quashing of the Guildford 4 convictions played a part in the decision to re-examine the evidence against the Birmingham 6. The cover-up begins. The Belcombe Street gang, Martin O'Connell, blah, 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 was accused of carrying out the series of bombs on behalf of the IRA, but it was that the trial in the 77 that Martin Joe O'Connell made a very revealing statement in a relation to the Guildford 4. On top of that, they were working for the British government to keep us in fear, because the government have known if they keep us in fear, they keep control. And Special Branch, there supposedly to protect us, knew all about it and kept it hush-hush, because they're a part of the government's hush-hush group. The next financial crisis may come soon. Are we all that safe? The toxic politics in the US and UK mean a competent response to a crash is far from certain. A decade from the 2008 global financial crash, policymakers constantly assure us that the system is much safer today. The giant banks at the core of the meltdown that have scaled back their risky bets, and then everyone, investors, consumers and central banks, is still on a high alert. Regulators have worked hard to ensure greater transparency and accountability in banking industry, but are we really all that safer? So that means they've been working to make it more covered up and more hidden. And yes, there is going to be another financial crash, and yes, they'll give the banks billions and trillions of money again, because the government is utterly and totally corrupt. And the sooner we realise that and end it, the better. One man's fire exposes the greed that still drives big banks. You see, it's over 1 second and suddenly it's not. John Geedy, bankrupted by missold loans, today starts a hunger strike outside the Clydesdale Bank headquarters. And let's not forget that when all the banks caused everyone's pain, they never lost anything. They were given billions. But those that couldn't afford to pay the mortgage because of what the banks had done and caused everyone to be unemployed, lost the houses, while the banks got big fat bonuses. Few other issues seem to define the essential wickedness at the heart of understanding capitalism, that the conduct of the banking industry during and after the financial crash of 2008 in the pursuit of riches beyond the imagination of most people. Many senior bankers deliberately ruined the lives of millions by selling financial products that they knew had become poisonous. The trick was to fill their pockets with as many bonus as possible before the game was a bogey. In this world, the concept of enough money or sufficient funds has long been rendered obsolete. But the government still work for the banks. Telegraph. Boris Johnson, we have blinked, we have bottled. Incompletely, it is time for the PM to change the spirit of Moses in Exodus and say to Pharaohs in Brussels, let my people go. May holds last-ditch Chequers summit. Her leadership rival urges PM embrace no-deal Brexit. Go back to Brussels and simply act out the terms that so many of both sides, Remainers and Leavers, now believe are sensible. And that's to leave with no deal, and then we can piss them all off properly when we've got rid of all these corrupt bastards in Parliament. Express. Would you let your man choose your clothes? Would I want to choose her clothes? No. Hay fever rip-off. How to cut the cost of remedies. Natural remedies all the way. Furious MPs back May and call for the Remainer plotter to be sacked. Get behind PM and sort out Brexit. Her treason is just not gone far enough for the rest to see it yet. Waste of paper star. Rue's whole lot better. So he's on holiday, great. Record breaker on the way, 26C, Spring Scorchio. Ferns are fine frilly. Blue Iron makes absolutely nothing in that paper whatsoever. Why anyone buys it? It's beyond me. The Times. Trump claims total exoneration after Mueller findings released. Proof at last, women and men are born to be different. May clings on and defies call to set number 10 exit date. PM2 scare headlines Brexiters with threat of softer deal. Couldn't get any softer. You've given everything away. Aye. Highlight for The Economist. UK tower blocks are now homes for high flyers. You're right. Mueller's finds no evidence of collusion. Lonely May refuses to stand down. I thought we were going to die. Viking Sky was minutes from disaster, say survivors. How can 3 extinct species return? Christchurch killers prevented sense of history ignites his violence. Mozambique cyclone death set at top 1,000. And back to the main bullshit. May is in quicksand after emergency summit at Chequers with senior Brexiteers including Boris Johnson. Rees-Mogg, Prime Minister refuses outline timetable for her departure in return for summit of her deal. Let's not forget, it's already been enshrined in law that we leave on the 29th at 11 PM. Doubts that agreement will be put to Parliament this week. Talk of coup refuses to go away despite denials from potential leader Michael Gove and David Lidington. Johnson calls May's chicken who's bottled Brexit. Daily Fail. Children aged 9 damaged by cannabis. Oh, piss off. Revealed shocking toll of young patients admitted to hospital with mental disorders. Let's have a go at cannabis time, is it? That's not a very regal look for Majesty. Your Majesty, I don't even know who that is. Jenna Coleman, whoever that. Yeah. Total bullshit, that headline there. Mirror. Meet Victoria Hung Joe, the new Poldoc. Brexit, May last bid to save her deal and her job. After food banks, skint mums using baby banks. Hard up parents forced to rely on handouts of nappies and tots clothes. Well, you should all be proud of you for voting these treasonous bastards in, because now men, women and children are as low as they can possibly get. But they're about to come fighting back with a sting. Metro. PM begs the Brexiteers to back her betrayal. Anything but independent. Spear Mr. Grove Humility Act. The will of the people has shifted. No, it hasn't. Neo-Nazi group are still on Facebook. There is danger in banning music. Brexit minister warns soft deal may trigger election. Hopes of compromise in Commons hit by threat from Barclay. Final say votes deserve to be considered, says Hammond. Leadership rivals deny coup as PM calls rebels to checkers. It's all smoke and mirrors, utter bullshit. The plan is working to exactly the way they planned it to go. Financial Times. May's battle to win over septics spurs doubts on survival chances. Deutsche top rank banned from selling stock during Commerzbank tie-up talks. So it's all just smoke and mirror, total bullshit in the rags. Don't waste your money.